Okay, I think he means 3, 2, 1. We're on. All right, so we're on. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
It's a kind
Thank you
of
for joining us.
it's a sadder Shabbat, and we're going to talk about that. And would like to hear what you people are thinking. Not only about Ross's brother Mark dying, but about death and all that.
Did you tell him? That he
So,
died?
yeah, I did 3 times.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know if it
Yeah.
got through.
No, I got through. Everyone knows Mark Nichols is found today. Sad,
Very sad news.
And Ross is there with his mother and sister and taking care of things. So we have a pre-recorded tomorrow, Ross's Torah talk, and then there will be no live discussion afterwards because he's not able to help us out right now. So we thought we'll give you the rest of the day off tomorrow. First, we're going to have Patty light the Sabbath candles.
Yes, we're so glad you're here joining us for Shabbat, and we're going to do this, and then we have some prayer we're going to participate in. Baruch atah Yehovah Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu ladli nashel Shabbat. Shabbat shalom and welcome again.
Shabbat
so good
shalom.
to see all of you.
Shabbat shalom. We're going to talk about the 6th commandment tonight in the Moses scroll, but we're also, I wanted to read something that hit me, with this today from the book of Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, from the American Standard Version. For everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die. We know that we're all going to die, and there are these seasons we go through. And for Mark, that ended last week or something like that. And I wanted to just say a small prayer. You can follow along. I'd like to hear your prayers. And we have another prayer request that's not related to Mark. So if you would just allow me, I want to say, Almighty Jehovah, we ask that you bless the Nichols family and you comfort them in this bad time, and that you have, mercy on Mark's soul. That's all I want to say. It's a sad time. I've had a lot of that, and so I just got a text from Ronnie Fulcher. Yes, there is, brother. Yeah, yes, there is. Just we'll get to you in a second. Another person anonymously asked us to say a prayer, and Patty, are you going to do that?
Yes, I like an anonymous. I don't like the word anonymous. It's a friend here that joins us, and this person has asked for travel prayers while they're driving to Missouri in a van to see the eclipse. And while it sounds like a good, fun adventure, there could be a lot of unknown obstacles and things along the way, like restrooms, where to sleep and stop, and things like that. And so I would just like to say, Almighty Jehovah, please have mercy and loving kindness and blessings on this couple that goes out to Missouri to see the eclipse, and maybe all have clear skies and are able to see this historic event. Thank you. Amen.
Yes, they're putting this heaven's signs and wonders.
Yes. I'm excited. We have our classes.
We have our classes. It's coming right over our city, so it's one of those things. Today is a sad day, but we always want to also remember the commandments. So Seth's going to put up my short little PDF file, and and we'll go through that. Pretty much, if you go to the second page, the Shema, we say this every day for us. I hope you say it for you. But today I'm going to read it purposefully because he is the creator, right? Hear, O Israel, Elohim, our Elohim, Elohim is one. And you shall love Elohim, your Elohim, with all your heart and with all your soul, very exceedingly. And these words, which I am commanding you today, shall be upon your heart and taught incisively to your children. And you shall speak of them when you sit in your house, and as you walk along the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they will be as bands between your eyes, and you shall write them on the doorframes of your house and your gates, because Elohim made a covenant with you in Oreb on the day of the assembly. So if that isn't straighten things out for y'all, and that's it directly from God's mouth, you better listen. Second one, of course, is the sixth commandment in the Moses scroll. You know this one. You shall not steal the property of your brother. I am Elohim, your Elohim. A little different than just not steal anything, but the property. So next slide. So, blessed is the man who does not wrong his neighbor. Well, that we can talk about because that's a little bigger than just stealing. And cursed is the one who moves his neighbor's land boundary. Apparently that was a problem. People were yelling about property back then. So this is the commandment that we're going to have on our minds today. I can tell you that my mother and father lived in a home that was built in 1958, and they lived it till they died. And all the neighbors had come, and the boundaries were, they were guessing at where the boundary was. Well, the last people who moved in next door, they made like for 3 inches on, these are acre lots. 3 inches, they were complaining about a fence that had been there for 40 years.
And then you had to move a shed.
And then we had to move the shed.
A whole shed.
Yeah.
That
they didn't think was close enough. But it's funny how these property lines can become things.
Yes, there's quite a disputes there.
And I understand if you have a really small lot, the bigger the problem gets. But if you don't want to worry about property lines, just go out and live in the country, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, that's my little strange take on that. For those of you who are just joining, Ross's brother Mark has been found, and he's dead. Ross is in Johnson City, Tennessee, the Tri-City area, with his mother and his sister and others. And Mark's brother, if you go on YouTube and just type in shoestring, one word, you'll see that he had 200,000 followers and 42 million views of his videos.
And he had a merchandise site.
In a merchandise site. So we're missing that character. If you watch it, I just don't want to keep going over that one issue, but Ross is feeling the pain, and tomorrow,
his mother and sister.
Tomorrow there'll be the pre-recorded class, but there won't be the Zoom afterwards because Ross has things to take care of. So if there's anything you also want to bring up tonight, please, we're here and just trying to share Shabbat with you people. And at the end of the day, we realize these things happen. I did read at the beginning of the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3. If you weren't here, I see some new people here. Yeah. So that's what. So that's Ronnie. Yeah, that's what you missed, Ronnie. Ross's brother has been found and he's passed on. And so some people are asking on YouTube also. So we just said a little prayer for him, and we are definitely 100%, with Ross and his family. I want to also say, for me, I've known Ross a while. Some of you have known him longer, but Ross gave up. He gave up working in industry to do this full time. and makes probably a third of what he made in industry. And his dedication and his commitment to this is unlike anyone else that I've ever heard. In all this biblical studies, they all seem to live in rich lives and have airplanes or big cars and big homes. And Ross doesn't have that. Ross does this because he wants to do this, and he's got a passion about it. And he's like a lot of us, we're searching for the truth, and we'll never know the truth. I'm certain of that. I mean, the whole complete truth. I don't think God would even reveal that to us. I mean, but we are on this path. And, as Einstein said, when you stop learning, you stop living. And so I want to keep learning because I don't want to die quite yet. Anyways, the other thing that's happening is Patty and I are have all of our travel set to go to Israel, and we're still going, whether or not the war's stopping or not going to stop.
As long as Delta's still flying, we're going.
Yeah, we're going, and so if you want to say prayers about that,
yes, thank you.
We're gonna go. We're gonna go visit the kibbutz where a lot of the slaughter took place, and we're gonna visit some of our customers in the IDF, and we're going to a bar mitzvah of all things. So that is still going on, and it's a little scary, but I was in a war zone recently in Kyiv, Ukraine, so I've done this my whole life, and I kind of know what that is. Anyways, if anyone wants to talk about this beautiful commandment, or Ross or Ross's brother, hell, they can talk about Seth if they want to. You want to say anything about Seth? He's done nothing but good things.
Absolutely.
Help me
Thank
out
you,
here.
Seth.
Thank you so much, Seth. And it's one of those things where we all we all have kind of gone down this path, similar, but from all different places. A lot of people from Worldwide Church of God have come this way. Catholics, Baptists like Ross, evangelical. I forget what Ronnie called himself, evangelical or something like that. It's so for all of us, we've been on this path, and there's very few of us, so we like to get together and be together and on Shabbat and consider the commandments as the book tells us to. Better consider these commandments and remember them. And I think I was saying when we first started this, just writing these commandments out for me was like an United Pentecostal. There's Ronnie. Yeah, United Pentecostal. And he was a preacher or a pastor, I think. Is that right, Ronnie? Anyways, a lot of us have come a long way. And so it's nice to be able to meet here. And we got a lot of different points of view here, and that's fine. It's not a religion. It's a place to discuss and do educational things. And, like I said, I've learned a lot from everyone that's spoken on these Shabbat talks, even if it's about something besides the commandment or God. It's about our lives and our, being together. Because as many of you we're shut off from a lot of the family, and they just look at us, they almost look at you as cultish in a way, and we're not. We're just following the truth wherever it goes. And so I think that it's great that we can at least meet, and I really look forward to meeting some more of you in St. Francisville. I really can't wait to have some good talks outside of the pedagogic. Yeah, the pedagogic presentations are great. Right. But it's also good to just talk one another.
There's something about sitting around a campfire and
just talking and everyone
face to face.
Yeah, and I like just hearing the life path. How did you get here? Because it's certainly I can assure you, I did not think 40 years ago or whatever 72 is my first Bible study. I don't think I ever even possibly remotely considered I would be here. I mean, we have been shunned because we left the Catholic Church. I mean, they look down at us. You left the church, and they have big buildings, and it smells good, and they have incense and beautiful statues and beautiful windows, and it's a holy place, you know. And now it's, you know, a little different. And
I like this better.
yeah, well, and also the fact that in the last 5 years, my views have changed, and I imagine a lot of you have also changed your views because you keep researching and you try to keep focusing, and you know, you go down some bad paths, or paths that didn't bring you the kind of knowledge you want. That's fine.
And
too.
sometimes it's interesting because as you peel the onion back, sometimes things get more complicated.
Right.
But then, like what we're learning from the Moses scroll and some of Ross's classes,
Yes.
it gets actually a little more simplified.
Yes.
And you can peel away some of the traditions and things that aren't really serving you anymore.
Right.
And I find that to be really refreshing.
Yes.
I don't know, have any of you felt that? I have felt that.
Tom says, I find those big Catholic churches kind of spooky now, especially if you go there in nighttime. They're really spooky. I had a friend in LA who was, we're going to get Charles up to speak here. I had a friend in East LA that played at the cathedral, the Catholic Cathedral in Los Angeles Cathedral, and he played Bach's Little Fugue in G minor at nighttime for us on a real theater or a real pipe organ. I was just panicked.
It's kind of like Dr. Fibes.
Yeah.
If anyone's old enough to remember those old movies.
Yeah. We're getting East Alabama, who's Charles.
Hey, Charles.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
How are you?
Charles, how y'all doing?
Oh, I just found out Mark was gone. I didn't know anything about shoestring until
recently.
But I went looking, and I watched quite a few of those videos. I like that guy.
Oh yeah, he was a character, and he knew what he was doing. Don't let him fool you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful to see some of the. He's been everywhere in this United States that you can go.
Well, but you know, I don't know about women, but men dream of just, you know, having that what do you call it, freedom,
Yeah.
extended liberty. I don't know how to express that, but
Yeah.
but,
No, I agree.
you know, I just feel like that. I'm happy he got to go visit his dad a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. He had the life that he did what he wanted to do. Unlike us who you know, are still working and have a lot of responsibilities every day, we have to go do things and you know, make payroll and all that kind of stuff. He definitely did, like you said, what he wanted to do. He had the freedom that, you know, and it always didn't work out well, but you know, his videos were honest. I think that's the thing. He was a character and they were honest videos, and he had a big following. If you type in shoestring in YouTube, you'll see so many people were out searching for him, and there was a web page about him, and he had a big following, 200,000 subscribers and 42 million views. So
I think he had a good heart too. I don't know if you saw the last video that Ross's sister put out, and he just gave this message that he wishes everyone good health and prosperity, and he hopes that his videos can bring some happiness into your life.
Yeah.
And what better message can you have than that?
Nothing.
at the end of some of the videos, he would, well, at certain times, in some of his videos, you'd see him asking for prayer for people, and he meant it. He was real, just like you said. Anyway,
Yeah, we loved him, and you know, I want the Father's Spirit to be with Ross and his family tonight, and you know, it's we know death comes, we know that, but when it does come, it's kind of like an inconvenient, uninvited friend. You don't want it there, but but it's going to happen. And when it does, you have to deal with it. And it's a hard thing to wrestle with. And as telling Seth earlier, the older you get, the more of your friends start dying off. If you're still living, your parents, your brothers or your aunts and uncles, and the next thing you know, you kind of find yourself alone. And one of the things, I wanted to say one other thing is that if you look at these characters in the book of Genesis, they lived very long ages. They must have been almost a stranger in the land that they were in, because all the people died off, or some of the people had to die off, and
they must have witnessed a lot of deaths.
Yeah,
and a lot of births.
Where I live, I don't feel like I'm from here anymore.
I know, everyone's gone.
Because everyone's gone, just about, that I used to deal with.
That's what happens when you get old.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a blessing that I've lived to 65. But the fact is, you start realizing, if you get 70, 75, 80. My grandfather was 103 when he died, and no one came to his funeral other than two of his 4 daughters and like 3 or 4 grandkids. That was it. No one knew him anymore. Like he'd outlived his time. So anyways, I don't want to talk about death all the time, but don't do anything wrong to your neighbor.
While you're alive.
While you're alive. So that's something you got to worry about.
Right.
No, Charles, thank you. And I look forward to meet you in St. Francisville.
Yes, sir. I'll see you there.
All right.
Anything else you want to say, Charles?
No, I just think it seems too soon to say to celebrate that the man had the freedom that he wanted, and he had the courage to go and do what he wanted, and so it puts him in a different category from
the average.
That's all. I was thinking earlier, though, boundary lines are hotly contested in the country too. Just different subject. I mean, just on the next hill over creek, they almost had a shooting last year over over a property line. So not boundary lines, and not jacking around with your neighbor's fence line is pretty serious business, even in the country. And just that sounds like a cheap comment after
no
after talking about a man with the kind of courage that Mark had. So
well, that's great.
Well, you can only imagine if people kept the basic 10 commandments, how great the world would be. But not going that way right now.
No. Well, and they like to change the lines of how you vote. I don't want to go down that. The redistricting. That's a form of property line, isn't it? I'm sorry.
Changing those boundaries.
Yeah, they change those boundaries to get their vote in. Whoever's in power wants to change the boundaries so they keep winning. Anyways.
Yeah, I'm kind of past the point of somebody else telling me how or what to think. But hey, thanks for.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for talking, Charles.
Thanks, Charles. Have a great night.
Yeah, and so another part of this, if anyone else, if everyone else, Clody is talking, but she's put a lot in there. I can't quite read all of that.
Maybe Clody would like to say it.
Yeah, maybe you'd like to say it. But one of the things that shocks me about these commandments last week was don't lie with an animal. That was an adultery. So that kind of shocked me, being in part of the Moses scroll. But this one, blessed is the man who does not wrong his neighbor. That's more than stealing the property, is what I get out of that. What do you people think?
Maybe bad business deals, or
Eric. Eric's going to speak now.
Okay, hi, Eric.
Hold on.
We hear you.
I'm trying to get my camera. There you
Oh,
go.
yeah.
There you are.
Hey, hi, Eric. Shabbat Shalom. Oh, that's beautiful. Wow. You have the Chicago Cubs, was that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
Oh,
Hebrew.
oh,
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
have
gosh,
a couple hats like that.
yeah.
And,
They're
and
not.
I'm curious that there's a couple way you can spell Cubs. So
Yeah.
my original hat, I haven't been able to find a spelling of it where it's just 3 letters. But
Uh,
anyway, it's a fun
yeah.
exercise in baseball.
Yeah. Well, I had one from Syracuse University. It said Syracuse University in Hebrew, and now people are afraid to wear it on campus. I was a Cub in the Little League in 1967, and we won the league, which it took many more years for the Chicago Cubs to. And Patty's from Chicago, and did you go to
Yeah,
the?
we used to go to the Cubs games.
Yeah,
Wrigley Field.
yeah. So that's a funny thing, and there all these bizarre talk about the guy that they were gonna he screwed up a foul ball catch to fan, and they wanted to kill him, and
Oh my gosh.
kind of like Babe Ruth, the piano, and the Red Sox told him. But anyways, it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's like my friends out at the goat farm. The husband is a Cubs fan. His wife is a White Sox fan. So there's all kinds of things to go there, But
Yeah. Were they also
it's
known as the Black Sox when they threw the World Series? We won't go into
No.
that. I got turned on to the Detroit Tigers in 1968 because my uncle, through marriage, his family, the Briggs, owned part of the Detroit Tigers, and of course, Detroit Red Wings. But that was a bad team to choose because they rarely win, the Detroit Tigers.
And the reason I became both a Cubs and a Yankees fan is because
Uh-huh.
of the radio announcers. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
like watching it on the TV.
yeah,
I
yeah.
like
The
listening
Yankees. Oh yeah,
to professional radio announcers and look at the history of who the ones for the Yankees are.
yeah,
I think I don't know if he's 90 yet or not, but he's
yeah.
close. And
Good.
she's not far behind. And then
Yeah,
of course Pat and Ron and everybody at the
yeah,
Cubs, and my third team is the Guardians now. No law politically incorrect to say Indians anymore. So
oh yeah,
in Cleveland, but
Mhm.
it's been fun
Yeah.
with all of that. The I wanted to expound a little bit if I nobody
Sure,
else wants to
please,
interrupt
please.
on the seeing these commandments and
Yeah,
matters or however you want to put all
yeah,
that,
yeah,
how the blessings and the curses right there with them,
yeah,
especially the way Ross, put it together,
yeah,
it kind of fills in the blanks. And sometimes I can kind of get a glimpse of why the rabbis and others have added to quite a bit some of this. And you were talking about the does not wrong his neighbor.
yeah.
And I think that even goes into the Lashon Hara, even speaking poorly of them.
Yes.
We, as far as I'm concerned, no one should speak ill of anybody,
Hmm.
even if it's the truth. In some instances, it's not good because people will misunderstand. Or now we have all these people with talents like Seth, and they can clip
Yeah,
out a couple of words, and then you're, next in line for the white supremacist of the year or something
yeah.
like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I know.
It's just really where you don't speak good as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
And I mean, the truth has to be there. I don't ever want to be accused of not telling the truth, but well, deceiving, I think, is different than not always telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth. If you
yeah, yeah,
leave out something through concern or compassion,
yeah,
it might be debatable there, I guess you say.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just incredible what one little thing or another can upset people. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Well,
And
then on social media today, there's just outright slander
yeah.
that
Oh, yeah.
and lies, and it's gone so far beyond anything that you're saying here, Eric, and it's
Yeah.
really a problem.
Yeah, it
Even
is.
extreme news.
Mhm.
Much
Yeah.
like I just can't watch anymore. It's
I
I
don't.
don't
No.
like getting angry in the first place, but
Right.
when you hear these things and you know they're lies because you know what's going on, it's
Right.
like, okay, Father, and maybe I'm pretty glad I'm at this age so I don't have to live through too much more of this. But then
Right.
I might
Right.
be like your some of your relatives. I had a great aunt at 105 and
Yeah.
mom nearly 90 and all that. But now, kind of segue into the other part of our beginning conversation. I've been, as I think I said last show, or well, get together. Been through a lot over the last 12, 15 years of losing family and
Yeah.
friends, but
Yeah.
I have a lot of them still around,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm finding engagement with new friends, relatively speaking, some older ones that I've finally gotten in touch with.
Sure.
And so now I have just in well, I can't remember exactly when. I've got to ask her when our anniversary is, but I adopted a 50-year-old as a daughter.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And she had, turns out it just a, well, let's say she didn't have a very normal father-daughter relationship
Yeah.
in the family and things, and it's been obvious her whole life
Yeah.
how she has dealt with men.
Sure.
So I've never been a father, and she's never had a really good father, so we're
Wow.
both learning a whole lot.
That's a great thing.
That is awesome.
I'm just amazed, and I've got her cousin now. I'm calling her my sister or my niece because she's just as dear to me as Christy is,
Yeah.
and it's just a whole new family.
Yeah.
Right.
And
There.
having our father, our everyone's father,
Right.
it's just like, hey, I'm fine. If I get lonely in this house with my pets and flowers and gardens and all that, and
Yeah.
I just spent 14 hours working the beehives out at the goat farm,
Wow.
and I mean, I'm getting in shape where I might be able to follow along or maybe lead along in the Qumran caves.
Oh,
So
that's
watch.
good.
Nice.
That's good.
That's
You
awesome.
know what the rabbis would say when I first started reading the rabbis, one of them I loved was that one's father or mother is whoever taught them Torah. And I really think that's a beautiful way of stating it. That
Yeah,
you don't have to be a biological parent. You can be a parent, and I think that's a great thing.
yeah,
It's a wonderful thing to be a biological parent, but also it's about we took people in where their kids around here where their parents were just all problematic and took them to on trips and vacations and one of them when she got married wanted me to walk her down the aisle and it was it was pretty emotional because I'm like, oh sure, I'll do that for you, Kate. And then when I stood in the back of the church in this place where they put us all together and she grabbed my hand and we're gonna walk down that aisle, I just had emotions coming
yeah,
sideways out of me. And
Mhm.
like I never had a daughter and all I
yeah,
said to the boy was, you better take good care of her. And he looked at me and he goes, I will, sir, I will.
yeah. Well, that's kind of the emotion that I had when last year
Yeah.
I got this text and message from her saying Happy Father's Day, which I've
Oh
never
yeah.
had for
Hell
Oh,
yeah. Hell
70
yeah.
it's
years.
beautiful.
And then this past birthday, she called and actually sang to me
Oh
at
yeah.
first thing that morning. And it's
Yeah.
just like, I wonder why I got to save this Father till now. But
Yeah.
it sure brings a lot of joy to this
It
old fella.
does. That's a great
And
thing, man.
I can't lose the feeling anymore, you
No.
know?
Beautiful.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
Great.
And
We're gonna invite Miriam up to speak now. She wants to speak.
absolutely, absolutely,
Right.
Thanks,
Shabbat
Eric.
shalom,
Shabbat
Eric.
shalom.
Hopefully we'll see you soon.
absolutely.
Miriam.
So next to,
Miriam. Oh, that was Chuck. He
didn't sign off.
He didn't sign off. It's okay. He's muted. Hello there, Miriam.
hi, Miriam.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom.
shalom.
How are you
We hear you
tonight?
loud and clear today.
Oh, great. Okay. I want to offer my deepest condolence to the Nichols family,
Sure.
Yeah.
and may Mark's memory always be of a blessing to all,
Thank you.
to the
I'm sure it was.
thousands that he was connected to.
Yes. It's as Charles was saying, he had a lot of courage, and he lived life on his own terms, and that's documented for all time now. It's going to be out there in the universe,
And his videos.
in his
everywhere.
videos, right? Right.
And that's a great legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I want
Yeah.
to kind of lighten up the situation about
Sure.
the sixth commandment.
Okay.
You shall not steal the property of your brother. I am Elohim, your Elohim.
Yeah.
Okay. Then there's two blessings and a curse.
Yeah.
One blessing and one curse.
Yeah.
One says, blessed is the man who does not wrong
Right.
his neighbor. The
Yeah.
other one says, blessed is the one who moves his neighbor's land border.
Right.
Curses.
Wow, that's
Curse.
a big.
Yeah.
That's a
Curse.
big difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Oh no. That's the borders of the tribes, anyways, were commanded in the Torah. I'm not sure how much further down those rules went to individual property lines, but it's a very powerful thing to be part of the 10 issues that God wanted to talk to us about. So that is a heavy thing there, Miriam. And so I'd be very careful about that, you know. Kind of
But
like
it both
go ahead.
but both exactly ends with the same ending,
Mhm.
and all of the people will respond and say amen. Both
Yes.
exactly.
Right.
We are. It's like they're supposed to say amen to both the blessing and the curses.
I think so. Meaning, I think amen means you understand it. You know, you understand what amen
Or-
means. Is you get it. I just told you. Like I told you not to do that. Okay, I get it. You know, I think that's kind of the way it's being used.
Mm-hmm.
Amen can say okay, but
Yeah.
agree. Some
Right.
don't agree,
Yeah.
and that was just my interpreting of how you can agree to one thing or another
Right.
and all both.
Yes. Well,
That's power.
yeah. Well, as Marianne said, it means so be it, you know. In other words, don't move. You're cursed if you move the boundary marker. So be it, you know, like you understand that you shouldn't be, you know.
And if you don't want the curse, don't move the marker.
Right. Right. And the other thing is, I think, is in laws of today, just government laws, your ignorance of that law is no excuse for you to break it. You know, I didn't know you couldn't go 150 miles an hour down the road. Well, the speed limit here is 45, and you're going 100 miles an hour. You're going to jail. I mean, and I'm being facetious there, but you might not know what laws that there are. In every state's different. I always run into this because I transport guns, and when you go from one state to the next, there's a lot of different ways you have to describe what you're doing, and so it's not a convenient. There's not a convenient law for the whole country. It's like every state. But again, and the basic rules of the road, but they are different. And you get into these traffic circles, and in England, I had to go into the left in a traffic circle. I thought I was going to kill myself, because they drive on the wrong side of the road over there. No.
Thank you for that insight. It's awesome.
Yeah, well, it's great. Yeah. Well, we definitely will. We'll definitely be looking forward to meeting you, Miriam. We've known you for years, and this is the first time you're coming to the.
Amen. Can't wait.
Meet you. Looking forward to it.
Excited. Amen.
Yeah.
We are too.
All
right.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom,
and
Miriam.
Thank you, Miriam.
That is someone who we've always heard from. A lot of these people hopefully we'll meet for the first time.
Yes.
When we go to St. Francisville. Some of you won't be able to come, but we're going to do our best to have it live broadcast, and if that can't be done, it'll certainly be recorded, and so that's a great thing. I think I've talked to Ross. It's pretty much closed, sold out. We've got as many people in that building as we can, and we're really excited about that. Just to give you an update, our abstracts had to be in, and our bios had to be into Ross, so that he can publish, a list of the papers that are going to be given. But in no way should that stop you from having other discussions that mean something to you. And there's a lot of time that we try to leave so that people can just sit down, have a coffee or something, and just talk to one another.
Sometimes a panel. Will there be that panel again?
I don't think he's got a panel this year, but
okay.
but
Lots of time to talk to everybody.
yeah,
though.
that's the thing. And there's these different groups that break out and they talk about issues that are big, and I remember one year Ross and Simka Jakubowicz, the filmmaker, they were discussing the oral law, and obviously Ross was not a big supporter of the oral law, understood that we could learn from it, but it wasn't like the Bible, and Simka's an Orthodox Jew who felt that it was. So, but they discussed in a very intelligent and respectful manner, and just sitting there listening to these people, you're like, I didn't know half this stuff.
Mm-hmm. You learn a lot.
You learn a lot by talking to all these different people, and so that's a good thing. The other issue is getting to hear new people, and we've had some new people come along every year, and we lose a few people every year, and depending on where it's located, the annual meeting, that's that can vary as to who can come, because it's tough. Some of the people can't come because of other issues like their pets or any of that stuff. Their family needs help. We have 3 dogs and 2 cats, so we have a lot of help if we're going to leave for a weekend to go see people in St. Francisville. There's a lot of things that have to be done. We don't have a farm, but we almost do. And so those are things that for not everyone can find all that, and everybody. And so for us, it's an important thing that, we get to talk live on every Shabbat and welcome you into our house. And Tom wants to speak. He's a Boston fan in general. Good evening, Tom. Shabbat
Hey, Tom.
shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Yeah, looking forward to the Bruins playoffs this, but okay, let me try to find the there.
Oh, you got the camera
It
on,
is,
Tom?
camera.
Yeah.
Just
Tom,
like this.
Tom,
Yeah,
I
I'll put
want
that.
to stop right there. I'm going to remind everybody, last year, the Boston Bruins had the best record ever in NHL, and they lost in the first round when they were up 3-1, and I lost a lot of money on them. So there you go. No, I didn't bet on them.
Panthers the rest of the way. Because I'm in Florida today. I've been living in Florida since '81.
Yeah.
But I'm still, still a Boston fan.
Of course.
What are you gonna do?
Sounds like you're a
My
fan.
head out now.
Obviously, I offer my condolences to Ross. That's a sad story. He's awful young to pass. But it sounds like he had a pretty interesting life. That's first I heard of it tonight was tonight about him. His train.
You should go. As I tell everybody, go on YouTube and type in shoestring one
I already
word.
did. Yeah.
It'll blow your mind.
Yeah. It's fun, but it also goes to show the direction of the world where people are more interested in that than to learn about God.
Yeah.
And even like this command, not to steal.
Yeah.
We have societies that are trying to move us to a place where you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's I saw really good teaching on Aleph Beta, about the importance of property ownership. And how important it is, because without it, you're one step away from slavery. You've got nothing left to sell but yourself.
Yeah.
And when there's no, and I think of when I was a youth, I had no respect for property, but today it's like it's so important, and and society is just moving away from that. So now they talk about squatters' rights. What do you mean squatters' rights? There's no such thing as squatters' rights. It's insane. The world it's amazing how far removed from God's ways
reality. Yeah.
Society is. It really is. And we're teaching this to the children today. It's what they teach. It's insane.
Well, that's Marxism. He said the root of evil was property ownership.
Yeah, that was like the first. Well, I'm sorry, but I think it's like the first commandment of Marxism, right? Is to remove private property.
Right.
And that puts you right at the cusp of slavery. Yeah, It
does. It's going backwards. We abolished slavery in this country, but people don't realize that slavery is still a worldwide problem. And there's indentured servitude, which is almost like slavery. I was in a scenario where I kind of was in an indentured servitude position, where a guy that I worked for, the company was crumbling. He lied to me. I was in my 20s though, and I worked for him, and I owed American Express $30,000 in travel, and he couldn't pay it, and it's like. And so how do I keep working, hoping that it pays off? It's like the stock that's going, do I let the stock crash, or do I sell and lose only a third of my money? And that's what happened to me. And, I never remember doing my IRS taxes. Said, you owe the IRS $29,000. And I just stood there looking at the computer, and I started sweating, and my wife goes, "What's wrong?" This is years ago. And when I said, we're done. And, believe it or not, I went to the IRS and I said, here's what happened. I showed them the whole story. They said, okay, no fines, but you have to pay us back. You have to pay us back. And that, took 5 years, but, it's like that saying, we're going to cast away your student loans. Well, I paid mine back, and I know a lot of good people paid their student loans back. And it was $40,000 back in my day, but I paid all of that. And now you say you just want to dismiss it. I mean, there's people like us that are going to get angry about that. Sorry. I mean,
Absolutely.
I don't.
You're right.
Yeah, and if you're going into it with a, some sort of, deal where you don't have to pay, and it'd be like, the sports people, or whatever, scholarships, that's fine. I believe in scholarships. That's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
And then the other thing is these schools, and we're full of them. Massachusetts, I'll tell you, and New York are full of these private schools. They cost a huge amount of money to go to, and I don't get how is it that you have to pay $80,000 a year to go to a school. I I don't. I'd like to see the finances, but again, the local schools and the state schools are far cheaper. And yes, I'm sure Rensselaer Polytechnic or Cornell University is a better school. However, the cost of going there is prohibitive, in my opinion.
Well,
Yeah.
it seems like they're not teaching them very well. They're not teaching them the principles we learned when we were young. I know
No.
it certainly
No.
seems that that's the
I
case.
know. Now we're starting to sound old, Tom, like my dad.
So I'm 64. I'm right behind you. I've been around, and
Yeah.
it's I don't get it. We like I say, we talk about property ownership. They're happy not owning a place. They don't.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
Yes. And the only thing I would be happy about not owning a property is if it's got to be fixed and I'm renting it, I'd say you need to come over here and fix it.
I have a rental property, and I just had to put a well in $6,000 from out of nowhere.
Yeah, and I laugh, but I can see as my mom and dad. My dad said to me when I was young, Dave, I want to live in the house till I die. Don't let them put me in a nursing home. And it's a tough promise to make when you're 15. But my dad, when he left the house the last night, he lived 2 more days in the hospital. And I was so grateful. And my mom died in the house. And so they didn't go into the, nursing home and I was very blessed, I felt, because Mama had started to lose her, she got a little college dementia. And that's a problem, and then as the dementia started getting worse, I thought, what are we going to do? And thank God for my brother Steve, because he was, living there. And at the end, Mama died there between, Yom Kippur, or it was between the Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, or the Feast of Trumpets. And Mama died there and on a Sabbath, and it was a beautiful thing because it has to happen. Nothing about death is beautiful, but I had a really great thing. My dad didn't have dementia. He was physically being disabled and his heart was going. But they both lived from 1929 to 2019, 90 years, and I was very privileged.
You said he was like 100 and some years old, right? When he
my grandfather was 3. My grandfather on my mother's side was where the Jewishness came from. Was he lived to 103, and my grandmother, she was from Naples, and she only lived to be like 80 something. Well, he married her. He was 35 and she was 17. And they said, "Oh, you're going to be an early widow," and he lived there. And I got to tell you, I know I've told this. I'll tell really quickly. I'm squashing the grapes, making a wine. I'm 7 years old, and I said, "Grandpa, where did you meet another Italian woman here in New York?" Like I was 7 years old. And he said, "Davide, your grandmother, she's not an Italian." I said, "What is she?" He said, "She's Napolitan." So I go in there. After I clean my feet, I go in there and I say, "Grandma, you're not Italian?" "Who told you that?" I said, "Grandpa, what did he tell you I was?" I said, "Napolitan." And she knew I would not know that term. And then I spoke into Italian then, and I learned some bad words, but that's another story.
That's all I learned in Portuguese too, was the bad words.
And then the food.
Because that's what you hear with the cursing. You remember?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They had certain gestures. I won't go doing them here. They had different gestures than we have here with the hands when they're angry. One of them, believe it or not, the worst thing is after they did the gesture, they would spit on the ground and step on their spit, which I don't know what that means, but that meant they really were upset with you. Try to be good, having the military, and I worked in mills. I don't have a good language, so I'm trying to be better. So I got to catch those words on the way out. I don't want to offend anybody. It's like when you're going to try to blow something up and it blows up too soon, there's special words you can use.
I use them at work. I work in a machine shop, and
there you go.
I've got really colorful language on occasion.
If you drop a 30-pound gear on your foot, you're going to learn those words. All right, Nikita wants to come up. Tom, thank you.
Right.
God bless.
Nice talking.
Yeah.
Let me
Nikita.
meet the stage.
Yeah. Nikita's coming up, I hope. There she is, Nikita. Hallelujah. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, loud and clear.
Wonderful, wonderful. Shabbat shalom and peace to the congregation and to Ross and his family. I was considering all of the commandments.
Yeah. Yes.
I love the Most High so much. The way He has the commandments written is to teach us not only how to treat one another, but also what our treatment of one another says about Him. If we call Him our God, what does that say about Him?
Right.
And I love where Nathan said to David, he said that your actions have given the enemies of the Most High a reason to blaspheme His name.
Yeah.
And the reason, the commandments, the spirit of all of them, as well as the action, it speaks to who we are as people and how we actually feel about the Most High.
Yeah.
So when it comes to this particular commandment, it's talking about thou shalt not steal.
Right.
Okay. The three things that hit, if not more than three, there are three that I'm studying, that hit the Most High the hardest is that when we steal, we're saying to those who watch or know, or we're saying blatantly to the Most High is that He's not sufficient for us.
There you go.
If you have not provided this for me, you're not sufficient enough for me, and I have to do it for myself. That's one thing. Another number two is we're denying His power to give us what we think we need.
Right.
So we're stripping His reputation of His sufficiency, number one, His power, number two. It's like, you can't do it, I'll have to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, the third thing we're stripping Him of is His position as a righteous judge. I mean, the Most High knows what we need and what we don't need and what will lead us to greater temptations and directly to sin. Everything for me goes back to the garden, like when Eve was, because the Most High had given them everything there was to be had.
Yeah.
With the exception of that. So when the serpent was like, if you get this, then you will have more. And the thought is that the Most High didn't give it to me. So you're trying to steal the power, the glory from the Most High, instead of waiting for the proper time for things to be given to you. Because we're just not mentally ready. Yeah. We're not physically ready. We won't understand the depths of it. So that commandment, surface-wise, we're like, don't take anything from anyone else. Yes, but do not damage by your words, by your actions, the reputation of the Most High by acting sinfully in His name.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, Nikita, that you should be a preacher, because that squares it up pretty quickly. That your thoughts just bounced me over to one other thing.
Yes.
When I was younger, I want to get more money. Money. Now, I totally have a different view. Money is like gas in a fuel tank. Do I have enough money to get from here to there? And then that's all I need. And it took a maturity on my part to realize that it ain't about grabbing for the money and the brass ring and all this other stuff. And that's what happens when people want. And the older I get, the less I want. And most, I just want this house. It's already too big for me. I don't want a bigger house. I don't want a bigger car. I want those things, to want to serve God, and I want to do those things that are right. And for me, I think what you were talking about, Nikita, dovetails into that, what, I need more, God, and you're not giving it to me. Well, you ain't ready for it yet,
Yes.
And then once you get it, really, did it change your life? No. And the wealthiest people say what they worry about the most is the other people trying to steal their money. I mean, who wants that?
Yes.
I don't have time for that. I want to know. Yesterday we had a power outage because of snow, and one of the director of human resources brought in her little child, and the little child sat on my lap, and it was a revelation, just like this is a creation of the Almighty, and this is what life is about, is those future generations, and being a servant instead of being served. I don't want to be like Pharaoh. In Arabic, Pharaoh is a term that means that you're not a good person. They use it against you, Nikita, and all I can tell you is, at the end of the day, I don't want to be like Pharaoh. Have you all seen Moses on Netflix? The new, I know you might not like it all, but it brings up the Jewish, Christian, and Muslim view of Moses. It's a 3-part series.
No, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's new. It's Moses Chronicles. Now, you're not going to agree with all of it, but it brings out things like, why were the plagues the type of plagues they were? Well, they brought up the fact that they were probably attack on the Egyptian gods. That the god of the Nile had a frog on his head, and so the frog, it's this kind of stuff. And it's done very well. And, you're not going to agree with everything in it, but it's a documentary, and then there's a little movie, then it's a documentary. So it's like a docudrama. And
Okay.
but they got some good people coming in there. And I think you should, and I always want to know what a true Muslim is believing and a true Christian's believing, and not the crazy ones, Well, and the crazy Jews. I want to know what the average true person, and so from that perspective, I feel that it's really good. And you learn from these other people. You don't agree with them, but you learn. And I really, at the end of the day, really appreciate that. I see that
they had a Moses. I think it was matter of fact, it was Moses the lawgiver. It's really old, and it has pretty much no special effects, and it's really cheesy. But if you look at the heart of the matter, of Burt Lancaster is playing Moses. But if you look at the heart of the matter of Burt Lancaster's Moses, it makes him more kind of human. It makes him human because he has those thoughts like, I don't want to misuse the Most High's name. I don't want to make him look bad. That's why I feel so insufficient to be this person. But I think the Most High could trust Moses because Moses was that careful with his name.
And amen.
As opposed to thinking that he knew everything, or he would try to steal his glory. And that's exactly what ended up happening with the staff and the rock. He said, well, what about we will give you, instead of saying the Most High will give you. And that brings us back to this commandment about theft.
Yeah.
Because, if you can't be trusted with the little things, there are so many lottery winners, there are so many prize fighters who had all these ridiculous amounts of money, and before they passed away, they were either broke, on the way to being broke, or they were still trying to fight because they needed more. That's not what you need to be content and happy. If you have discontentment in your soul, nothing given to you will help you.
No, and
because there isn't a puzzle piece for that. That'll be the only puzzle piece for that is seeking the Most High so He can help you. Nothing else will do that. And it's I posted Passover isn't Easter and Easter isn't Passover in the dialogue. And one of the striking things for that, now mind you, I wrote this, I know, about 4 or 5 years ago, but rereading it before I posted it, one of the striking things for me was that it said that the God of Passover is not the God of Easter.
Yeah.
Because the God of Passover directed the Hebrews to slaughter the symbol of the pagan god and put the blood on the doorposts and the lintels. Well, as I was reviewing that before I posted it, the Christians consider that to be the Lamb of God is the Jesus who was slaughtered, for a different reason. But if
Yeah.
you look at how they were addressing it in Egypt in the Exodus,
Yeah.
I mean, to make that analogy, you're
Yeah.
actually agreeing that the one that's slaughtered is the symbol of paganism, and not
Yeah.
so much Jesus himself, but the will of mankind. That's the pagan part.
Yeah. And we all know where Easter comes from, the name from Astarte, a goddess of fertility with eggs and bunny rabbits. I mean, it's unbelievable how now don't get me wrong, I like some Easter candy.
Cadbury eggs.
Yeah, there you go. You know, I just forgive me, Lord. I'm not eating pork. But anyways, Nikita, you bring a lot of insight, and I'm gonna go and read what you wrote. I do appreciate y'all, and I do think you have good ideas. You put them squarely out there, and it would be good for you to do some preaching. I'm just throwing that idea on you. When as time goes on, I speak to a lot of people that are very intelligent about God, but they couldn't speak in front of other people to save their lives. And kind of like the Moses thing. And one other thing, I see Libby wants to get on. One other thing I wanted to say really quickly on that Moses documentary I loved about this, he brings up the fact that God chose Moses, like you were saying, but Moses was not a good man. He was a murderer. He was an escape he wasn't convicted, but he was an escapee and a suspect in murder in Egypt. And he ran, yet God still chose him. Even if you killed someone in righteousness, he didn't face, the people. So from that point of view, God picked. Look at David,
See,
David,
that's the deciding factor, what you just said. He wasn't killing in order to rob the man of his life, to steal his life, but he was killing in order to save someone else.
Right.
The Lord takes our motivations and our agendas of our mind and our hearts into consideration for what we do, because if not, no one would have a chance.
Yeah.
Like if you steal because you're hungry with the intention of paying back when you can, we'll open ourselves up to the repentance that's required to prove to the other people, say, yes, I am, I do worship the Most High, but I took this, now that I'm able to pay you back, here's everything I owe you plus interest.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the action itself, without knowing the motivations and the agendas, sometimes that's why he's the righteous judge, because he knows everybody's motivation and everybody's agenda behind what they do.
Yeah, you can run, but you can't hide from the Most High.
Exactly.
It's his universe, not ours. All right, I'm going to get Libby up. She's been waiting. And Nikita, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
Shalom. Thank you.
All right, love you. So many great people talking here. I hope I get Libby up here. Let me see. Here she is, Libby. I see you got your mute still on. You got to find that unmute button somewhere in there. I'm sorry. Let me see. Yeah, on a computer screen, it's down in the left bottom. It's a little mic you click on. But I don't know about on the phone. I don't know. Seth, do you know where on the phone it might be? It says she's on a phone, I think. Yep. It's just that mute button, Libby. I know we've talked to you before, so you somehow found it.
Okay, I'm on.
Okay, there you go, Libby. Shabbat Shalom, and thank you for joining us tonight. And like I say, it's totally...
Shabbat Shalom. I wasn't being impatient. I loved listening to Nikita. I don't know where she's from, but she sounds Southern, and she definitely can be a preacher. I was sitting there thinking exactly that, and you put the words in my mouth.
Yeah, she definitely squares things up and says this is what it is, and I like that. And you look at Ross, he gives these great talks every week. Not everyone can give a talk, and so it's to know it and to be able to preach it like she was just doing. It's a rare combination, and I just I love that, and I look forward to meeting you all. And Libby, you're in Texas, are you?
No, I'm originally from Texas, but we live in Southwest Missouri.
Oh, okay. That was Big
And
Sandy you were born?
I was born in Big Sandy,
Yeah.
and from the year that I was born in 57, April of 57,
Yeah.
we attended the Days of Unleavened Bread, the weekly feast
Oh,
there
yeah.
for the Days of Unleavened Bread and for Sukkot.
Yeah.
So I was raised up with Worldwide Church of God,
Oh,
and
good.
I married my husband when I was 17, and we've been just moving around the country because he was a builder.
Uh-huh.
And so we built and sell homes, build and sell homes. He's retired now, and
Oh,
we
good.
have settled here in Southwest Missouri on a little homestead.
Mm-hmm.
We have goats, we have sheep, we have chickens, and
Oh,
we have a lot of and we have grandchildren.
great.
So we're very, very, very fulfilled. But I wanted to make some comments on some of what
Sure.
Nikita brought out. She
Sure.
really brought out some wonderful wisdom about this commandment. And from a very young age, I learned from my father, you should never have more than you can take care of and be
Yeah.
responsible to. I see people with millions of acres that they just let we've got a landowner right beside us that his pastures have gone to thistles that
Uh-huh.
are horrible for cattle, and
Uh-huh.
they blow over on our place. We fight them all the time. And it just really is something that we have to be considerate of. And the other thing that she brought out is the fact that when you want to take someone else's things, you're it's a slap in the father's face saying that you didn't give me enough.
Right.
And the father knows us. He knows us better than we know ourselves. And I always told our children the same thing. I know you better than you know yourself.
Yeah.
And I've watched you grow, and watched you develop. I've
Yeah.
watched the experiences you've had and the responses that you've had with those experiences. And so,
Sure.
because of that, you have to trust the Father gave you what is sufficient for
Yeah.
that time. And
Yeah.
as we grow, He gives us more.
Right.
And we're in a place at this point in our life, we've had more land, and we're in a place now where it's just the two of us,
Yeah.
and we're getting old. I'm older than you are, Dave, not by much, but I
No,
am.
no, but
And
I
physically, we can't take care of a lot. And
know.
so we have deeded some of the land that we had to our children. We
Yeah.
deeded to our oldest granddaughter.
Oh,
We've
great.
helped our youngest daughter and her husband to build 2 houses, and they're getting ready to build a third one.
Oh, that's
So
great.
there's things that you can do that you pay it forward,
Yeah.
and that is truly what brings honor to the Father. Just
Yeah.
like what our children do, take the things that we've helped them with, and they do something with it and
Yeah.
make good on it, then it honors us.
Yeah.
So
No, that's
there is
great.
so much more to that commandment than just
Mhm.
the few words that are there.
Yes. No, I agree. And I think Nikita hit on a lot of it, and it gets kind of they're all related, the commandments, and it kind of gets bounces off a few other commandments. And I think
They're building blocks. They're building blocks to how to
from
live life.
correct,
And
and
it starts with a foundation. First of all, you have to believe there's a creator, and you
yes,
have to have love and respect for him. And then
yeah,
it just builds from there. But you've got to
yeah,
have that foundation. And of course, my father was a builder as well. I came from a long line of builders. So I
uh,
speak, you got to have a firm foundation before you can build anything.
yes. And I think another thing that's close to that is that you know um, love and respect are parts of the commandments, and every commandment there is. You don't steal from somebody because you also respect them, because it's not yours, and you got to love people. And love's a very misunderstood word. It's very big, and tough love is just as much a part as happy love, as romantic love. All these parts of love. It's such a beautiful verb the verb to love, it comes with it is also respect and helping people. I've helped people that I really don't like, but I found out that when I did that, it was very powerful for me to learn about servitude and to serve God, and that he didn't say only help the people that are nice to you. That's not what he said. And so it's one of those things, Libby. And the other thing is that don't do any wrong thing. Blessed is the man who does no wrong thing to his neighbor. That's powerful in my in my view too. So like you say, they're the building blocks for society. Really, it's not only our own lives, but if the society worked in such a way. I always like going to Jerusalem, even though it's a lot of Orthodox, but the Sabbath is the Sabbath. Like Friday afternoon, they're shutting everything down, and it's easier when the whole place goes dark, so to speak. Whereas here, Saturday's the day where people are mowing the lawns and they're going shopping, and it's like there's it bothers me that I'm sitting outside on the Sabbath and I hear all these lawnmowers. I don't want to hear that. And so I really do like when I am in a place where it's more it's a more of a way. Tom just said he could argue that idolatry is stealing from God, and I think that's very true, because God's a jealous God, and he said there are no other gods but me. So that's a good one. Well, Libby, thank you for those.
Bottom line is to show respect to him first and foremost.
Yeah.
And if you love your neighbor, you're showing respect to him because they're part of his creation as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And who's to say that, only, I named my first son Daniel. My judge is L, because it's a way I thought about life, even way back yonder. And that is that I can't judge Libby or Miriam or Clody or anyone else. I find it hard to even judge myself, because there are so many extenuating circumstances. The only judge is Jehovah or Jehovah. My feeling is Jehovah. He's the judge and knows all these other aspects, and it's one of those things where it's awful easy to judge other people. Certainly their acts you can judge, but and you don't want to judge to hang around with drug dealers or gun runners, like I do sometimes. No, I'm only kidding, but not too often. But what the point is that you have to make judgments in your life about what you're going to do. And like for instance, when I'm sure this you may be brought up this way, but the first time I thought, well, we better celebrate the Sabbath. That really screwed up a lot of things in the beginning. It's like, because your life didn't, and the joy that I've gotten from the Sabbath is more than paid back any of those issues. And I've forgotten them. It's been so long, 40 years. I've forgotten what it's like to not celebrate the Sabbath. But the point is that when we do show that respect for God and His creation and in all of His creation, I find that it adds to life and your understanding of life. And maybe someday, the Almighty will, if we, I don't even know theologically what we become. I know we're the children of God made in His image, and I know there's a Benai Elohim, and people have very, specific thoughts about what that's all going to mean. And all I'm going to tell you is that the more I've studied it, the more I don't know. And so I do believe that God is a just God and loves us and created us for a reason. So I'm following the rules. And if and I'm doing the best I can. And that's the way I would like to, leave it. People have very specific ideas about what heaven is, and especially Christians of Christian ilk. It got to be a big thing, the eschatology of the Christian Bible and of the Quran is on high compared to the Torah, Nevi'im, the Ketuvim. And a lot of the very eschatological books that were written in Hebrew are not included in the canonized version of the Tanakh. But I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on how do I live my life today? How do I do what God wants me to do? How is it that I can do these great commandments and live in them? And you learn, and and hopefully you learn, and you keep improve. It's like a process improvement. You keep improving yourself, saying, "Hey, I'm not going down that. I'm not going down there again."
Well, I agree with you on that, because it's just like with the comment I made about not having more than you can take care of. We
Yeah,
have enough to take care of living this life and doing the best we can in this life.
yeah,
And I trust that whatever is beyond that, that's above my pay grade.
yeah.
I'm going to just live what I have right now. God gave me this to tend to, and I'm going
Amen.
to, and the rest of it's his business.
Okay. Amen. Well, I'm going to get Tom back on. Libby, Shabbat Shalom to you and your family.
Shabbat shalom, and we will join the group tomorrow, and we definitely enjoy your Sabbath talks.
Well, thanks. And it's just, I'm hearing from all y'all, and it's so good to hear the different viewpoints and different issues. And I've learned a lot about this simple commandment tonight by listening to you and Nikita and Tom and all the people that have spoken in these. I can't keep up with all the chats, but God bless them, and thank you for
That's it.
tuning in.
The sharing of ideas, it helps us to grow our mind.
Amen. Amen, Libby.
All right.
God
Thank
bless you.
you.
Bye-bye. Tom, calling Tom up to speak.
Yeah, this is a nice thing you're doing here. You mentioned about what, who knows, right? Who really knows? But we may have some clues. You might find this interesting.
Okay.
Traditionally, right? They talk about how Adam and Eve shined, right? They had like a shine to them until Jehovah skin, skin, right?
Yeah.
And I think of how Moses, when he was in the presence, how his face shone, right? Or Quran,
Yes.
whatever exactly that means, right?
Right.
Well, this week is the Metzora,
Right.
the leprosy, right? Or maybe next week the Parsha. But I've often wondered if, because they say leprosy was a spiritual condition, and in the idea that you were out of the community because of your behavior and Lashon Hara and things of that nature. But I also wonder if it had, this is just my thought. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
But the presence, they were in the presence. The Jehovah was in the midst of the camp. And was that a manifestation that being close to Jehovah caused your skin this disease?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't shine like with motion. You see what I'm saying?
I see.
It's just the opposite. And it was, and that's why I don't think it's leprosy. I don't think what that was, the Sarat was leprosy.
Okay.
Whatever it was, I think it was a spiritual condition, and that today we don't see that because Jehovah's not in our midst, like back in the wilderness, like it was in the wilderness.
No,
and
the
I
hiding
about that. It's just something that.
Yeah, the hiding of the face.
Skin condition.
Yeah. Well, do you remember the first lesson on racism is when Moses's family they start saying, "Well, she's of a different color," and they get the illness and have to leave the camp because to God he doesn't go for that. He's like, "What do you mean?" And oh, by the way, just to let you know, on this new Moses documentary on Netflix, she is Zipporah is a black woman, a very beautiful black woman, and Moses is I guess kind of white, but maybe a little more Middle Eastern, and that's no doubt the truth because this was his family's like, and you can see this happening in families today, right? Well, that person's not the right background or the right color, or they're Hispanic, or they're or whatever. It could be any way. I've seen so much racism in the world.
Neapolitan.
Yeah. And for me it was just beautiful to show Moses's wife in the true fact that she was a woman of color, the Midianites. and her father Jethro is really good too, and they really characterized Jethro good in that movie. I'm really, and again, there are going to be things you see in that movie that you will not agree with. There's 3 episodes. Don't get me wrong. I get that those 3 episodes are not, but it's not. But think about it as a learning experience. And you heard people talking tonight. You might not agree with what they said, but there's other people that you did agree with, and that's that's the thing for me. Miriam says it was good teaching. You must have watched it, Miriam. And the good news is, that they actually did something about Moses, whereas the world today is so focused on other types of superheroes and other, anything but what is that got to do with the Bible. And so from that perspective, I feel very, Miriam watched it. And from that perspective, I feel very good about, the fact that they tried to do something. And, they did give other people points of view that they weren't all the same. Something I learned about from the Muslim point of view, just not to put in a spoiler, but the scholar said there's no other prophet that the whole story is in the Quran. Moses is the only one, and that I didn't know that, so that shows a great relevance to the integration of things. Again, I don't want to get into those bad discussions, but my point is that for one man to impact so many religions, it's amazing. That's an impact, and it was like I say, a normal human being, and they did a good job. It also showed in this 3-part series that he probably spoke to God more than what's written down in the Bible. In other words, it's like when things weren't going well, he's like, "Come on, Jehovah, where are you? I mean, I can't keep doing." And then, another thing was how his wife would, you'd have to get your wife to really buy into that thing. Yeah, we're going to go back where I'm up for murder and I'm going to free all my people. I mean, that's telling that to your family and getting them to agree, that was a mind-boggling thing to me that came out. It's like you kind of read over that in the Bible sometimes, but it's like, hon, we're going to go to South America, to Colombia, where I'm wanted for murder, and I got 150,000 of my friends that need to come up to America with me. That I can't imagine saying that to, Patty would go, but I'm just saying most families wouldn't do that. Well, I got her go to Israel, so God bless her. She's like, should I go? And I go, hon, you know what? I'm going. I don't mean to be mean, but I have meeting some important people and going to a bar mitzvah. I love you by my side. And she goes like, yeah, okay, I'm coming. And my mother would have never done that. Like, she'd be like, oh, that's amazing. But anyways, that's a good thought that you brought up there. Because what was it? Was it a spiritual disease? And something else you reminded me of when you go into the Vatican and you see the statue of Moses. It's got horns. Yeah, because they didn't mean he was the devil. It meant that they didn't understand what that word meant for the shining of his face.
Yeah,
so
it's the same word. It's the same word.
It
what
is.
Exactly it means. I don't know.
Well, I told you I saw Frank Moore Cross in 1992 give a talk at Yale and for lunchtime, and I was working with Pratt and Whitney at the time as a consultant on an Army job, and I went for this lunch talk, and it was like $30 back then. And he said, I think 30% of the ancient Hebrew language is not really truly understood. And it gets people nervous because, they think the King James is the exact words of God, and I'm like, he gave us a brain. He made us like him. God made us like him in his own image that we could think and question. And that's why I like this group, is we can question and disagree and still have discussions. And, he gave us a lot of brain power to do things like research and, to gather together and contemplate what this is all about. And so anyways, I appreciate those thoughts, Tom, because that's something I never really thought of before. It's just, Yeah. Cody says we're questioning group.
For the record, 19 years in the tool room out at Pratt and Whitney down here in Florida. I worked
Oh, did you?
19 years out there. Yeah.
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 Yeah, I was
Yeah.
using Pratt, not to get into business, but I was using Pratt and Whitney on another program I'm using. I was looking at their technology for another program that actually I shouldn't even be talking about. But I appreciate that. It's a phenomenal.
One thing talking about work is another thing planning it. That's the two different things as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned.
Well, the other thing is this, that people don't realize how reliable jet engines are, and what's going on inside them. It blows my mind. We have a vacuum forge up here called Special Metals, and they make some ceramic type stuff for the blades and the heat and you get in that plane, and the next thing you know, you go to sleep and you wake up and you're in Tel Aviv. That's, I mean, what people did before to cross this country, 6 months, and then there was the train, and then there was the Route 66, and then there was the freeways, and I've driven across the country a few times, and let me tell you, it's a big country, even when you're going 70 miles an hour. Anyways, I love planes.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Well, God bless y'all. I got a couple of notes here from Ross. I'm gonna get off now and see how my brother's doing. I haven't talked to him since the news of his brother passing came out. And God bless all of you. Shabbat shalom. And tomorrow morning at 10:30, there's not going to be an after Zoom, but it's going to be great to. Ross has and Seth have a very good presentation prepared for tomorrow. And love to all of you. Shabbat shalom. Thank you for coming. And we look forward to next Sabbath. Patty did leave because she's not feeling well, and she struggled through the day, and she wanted to make sure she could at least sing her Shabbat song. So we'll have another one. Thank all of you. God bless you, and have a good Sabbath. Happy Sabbath.